Welcome to episode 85 of The Game Changers. I'm your host, Carla, and today I'm bringing this heat with none other than Andy Behrens. His knowledge and insights are sure to elevate our conversation as I dig into the game behind the game. A huge shout out to the incredible TSA team for backing this mission of amplifying voices and sparking ideas. This platform exists because of visionaries like them and listeners like you. Whether you're here for fantasy football goals or simply love stories that shift perspective, you're in the right place. The Game Changers is more than a podcast. Let's kick things off by getting to know our guest a little bit. Who is Andy Behrens?
Oh no.
He's a veteran fantasy sports analyst, best-selling author, and industry leader shaping the conversations for 2 decades and spent more than 18 years as Yahoo Chief Fantasy Analyst, breaking down complex strategies and offering real-time insights that millions of fans rely on each. Before his fantasy role, he honed his narrative voice at the SBN, writing non-fantasy features on the NBA, pop culture, and lifestyle topics. He's also the author of 3 novels for young readers, weaving humor and adventure and into stories that spark imagination in a new generation. For years, Andy has served as president of the Fantasy Sports Writers Association, advocating for fellow writers, elevating industry standards, and fostering communities among fantasy players. Now, he's striking out on his own with an independent platform combining analysis, commentary, and storytelling in fresh,
Not
not French,
not French.
unfiltered way. If it's French, I'll help you.
We keep
But
the French behind a paywall.
so, Andy, how are you today?
I'm good. I didn't know I was expected to bring the heat. That's going to be difficult. It's been, obviously Expo Week is terrific, right? But
It
it's
is.
it's Sunday evening of Expo Week. We're all playing through a little something right now. Nobody's 100% right at this moment, so I'll give you all the heat I have.
Oh, we're gonna talk a lot about the heat that's going on around the Yahoo story. So everybody wants to learn what happened, what went down with Yahoo. So what do you want to share with us
Yeah, I mean, you know who else wants to know is your guest.
today?
I mean, I only know so much. I guess I can say first of all, it had nothing to do with the current content team,
Yeah.
new people. They're awesome. They're some of my best friends in the business, right? Love Harmon, love Pianowski, Titus. Got to kind of hang out a little bit with Justin for the first time this weekend. Those guys are great, and it was not like whatever happened at an executive level with which I just never interact. So I would imagine that it is fresh coat of paint on the house kind of stuff, right?
Yeah.
And it had been, a somewhat more difficult environment for like veteran, long time Yahoo employees.
Yeah.
Yahoo employees is probably too broad, but people on the sports side, myself included. I'm sure there's a new leadership team that probably wants things to look different and have a different voice, and they're getting it. So I was surprised by it, but also it's sports media, so you can only be so surprised. We're in, I mean, it's kind of what you sign up for. Like we're in an industry where nobody gets to retire with like cake and coffee in the cafeteria and balloons. It's not like that. So I had a great 18-year run there. It is hard to separate my love for the content team that's there and my appreciation for everybody who read the content over the years and interacted with the content over the years from my simmering rage with the company right now. Like I don't know. I'll never know why exactly it happened. Yeah, I mean it does because you have a relationship with the greater Yahoo community, and it was, I don't know, the job I'd always wanted to have, but I also I just enjoy writing about it.
Yeah.
So that part doesn't stop. Like the actual, like, I we Dalton Del Don and I, I'm talking about it like it's all me, but Dalton, who had also been there for almost 15 years, lost his job, and Dalton's great. Like, I don't know, I don't even take it as a reflection of like the quality of content, because like I know what the traffic numbers were for us. I feel pretty confident in the quality of my own work, so I don't think it was, I don't know, I don't feel bad from that perspective. And we now get to do sort of on our own, I don't know, the content that we enjoyed most, and we get to cut some of the content that we were just doing because it clicks a little bit, and it's, if I Carla, if I never write another like list of 9 names who you must add this week, that's fine with me. Like, that stuff isn't, I mean, that stuff clicks, right? Like, that stuff does well, and it gets engagement. It isn't very thoughtful, and like the listy stuff that a lot of fantasy content is right now is probably not what we're going to be producing at the Deep Shot. We're probably going to try to produce some more thoughtful things. Maybe stretch our voices a little bit in directions that it couldn't go at Yahoo. So it's, it's like it stings a little bit when it happens, and it's weird. Actually, more than stings, it was just weird. It was a surreal call to get. It was a weird couple of days.
Yeah.
Also, it was a little, I don't know, a little dirty. They fired me like I got caught stealing or something. It was pretty, I don't know, it was pretty quick. It was pretty quick and abrupt. But again, it's not like, it's not a, that is not a comment on anybody that I worked with day to day, and I don't, I'll never even interact with people that made
the shock.
Yeah.
Like, I saw you post on. I remember when I saw you post on X, and I'm not you, and I felt like it's a slap in the face. And I did send you a DM. I hope you're okay.
You did, yeah, you did.
Because
you know what?
Crazy.
Those few days were actually. It's weird to say that they were great, but they were pretty great, because you're hearing from all kinds of people, and you get a notion of how many people like read the content, cared about the content, have met you over the years, and care about you. So that was actually a really nice. Like, again, that's a wild thing to say, and I don't recommend to anyone that they get fired. But that was a really nice few days to hear. Yeah, that was great.
That's amazing. I just love how the community, can get together and talk about the stuff, and they uplift each other at some point. And you've been really great for the community. From the expo, people wait for you to talk to you. I mean, I'm one of them. I appreciate your friendship, even though that we don't talk much, but I really do appreciate your friendship as well, because we talk on some other levels sometimes.
Yeah.
And when I went to Chicago, I wanted to see you and your family. So it's really
also,
good.
You've been a great citizen of the fantasy community, and this show is really fun. And I don't know, the stories that you brought to people have been really, I don't know, it's kind of non-traditional fantasy content. It's really fun. So there's a wide open space for it in the industry. And great.
I appreciate that for you. Thank you. That's such an honor coming from you. You know that. So we are at the expo right now, and a lot of people that they never they never came to the expo. What can you tell people about the expo and about the experience that they're not sharing with us?
Yeah, there isn't anybody in this industry who isn't approachable, right? And there's such a nice, easy camaraderie, even among some of the companies that are technically in competition with one another, right? Like, there's, among the content creators, among the people who like know what the job is, there's just terrific camaraderie. The drafts are fun. Every evening out is a blast. I'm not wired for this anymore, by the way. Like, this is 2 late nights that I've had, and I got a third coming up, and I'm just not built for it anymore. But I'm gonna push through. It is so fun. Like, the social aspects of it are really fun. The sessions that Bob's put together are really fun. Like, yeah, the Women of Fantasy Football panel that took place today on its own. First of all, this trip is really affordable. Like, Canton, Ohio is not gonna break the budget exactly to travel to. So traveling to Canton is easy. The hotel's great. They've never staffed up the bar situation for 100 people, but whatever. The hotel's great. Yeah.
And Lindsay Rhodes was here too. She was
So
on panel too.
Lindsay was like one of the MVPs of the expo this year. She was tremendous on every panel. And again, the Women of Fantasy Football panel was so interesting, and like all the perspectives on that were great. It's a male-dominated industry, has been for a long time until I don't know, recently. Everybody in this industry looked like me, sounded like me, right? The sort of changing face of fantasy has been delightful and much needed, and like that's really well represented, especially I think at this year's expo. It was great, and just I don't know, to hear the experience of content creators who do not share exactly the background that I do was really, I don't know, it's important. It was a great session today, and those women were really funny. Lindsay and Erica kind of gave it an explicit tag today, which was also great. I don't know, just that panel alone was terrific. And
It was really fun to hear.
and this thing is, I don't know, this thing is just really cheap and really fun,
Yeah.
and it's also so well timed because everybody who's in the industry, like you can't complain about the job, right? It's a great job, and the fact of being able to cover sports for a living is crazy. It's stupid, but it is also a lot of work, and it's really hard. And once you get in season, you're kind of like in the content mines for 6 months or so, and you don't get to come up for air very often. So like this event happening just at the beginning of preseason before we're all really in it and dug in, and can't come out into the light for a while. It's just the timing is great. The people here are great. I'm gonna be with Bob as like the last person turning out the lights at the last expo. I love this
I
thing.
love that. Love that. So I know the story about your guitar. Are you gonna do the karaoke today?
Oh my gosh. I told the most embarrassing story from child. That's like one of the sneaky things about you is you will get some stories from people. Yeah, you're dangerous. I should not have. I should not have come here. Yeah, you've got a completely embarrassing story from my childhood that I have never shared outside my family before about me destroying a small plastic Donnie and Marie guitar when I was a kid, and it was yeah. We don't have to tell that story again. I might karaoke. I don't know if I'm gonna have any voice left. If I don't have any voice left, I'm definitely not doing it.
Oh
But
my God, that would be fun. I have to hear you.
also, like we have some. I think we have some hardcore karaoke people. Like I don't know.
Do.
I was talking to Hutch, and Hutch has like rehearsed. Hutch has like
You're kidding.
Hutch is like ready to throw down, and I am most certainly not ready to throw down and don't have a go-to karaoke song, and I can't tell you that I've memorized the lyrics to anything. So actually, if I'm being totally honest, I'm probably not going to karaoke
Yeah.
because this is going to be a night that begins with a couple people who are ready, and they're gonna intimidate.
They're gonna be. It's gonna be awesome though. I love.
What will
I
you be
love
performing?
I'm nothing. Just watching. I'll be performing the watching of the karaoke tonight.
Sounds like you can have a French song ready. Sounds like Frere Jacques might be.
Maybe
in that.
Frere Jacques. Definitely Frere Jacques for me. So I know that you are you have the writers association, and some people don't know too much about that, especially that people like I see on X, and I know we have, but you see a lot of people saying, "Oh, it's fixed, it's handpicked, it's they don't know who they're picking and stuff like that." What can you tell people about the writer association, especially that it's not it's a lot of great people putting their information in the stuff. What can you tell those people? What's going on differently?
Yeah, it's a good question. The Fantasy Sports Writers Association has existed for about 20 years. I've been president for too long, 13 or 14 years, something like that. Yeah. And the mission of the association in the early days was really, oh man, and I heard Lindsay again. Lindsay Rhodes was like an MVP of the panels today, and I heard her earlier talking about how she feels pretty strongly that some of the best and deepest analysis in sports right now is on the fantasy side, and I couldn't agree more with that. And in the early days of the association, I feel like if you've just come to fantasy recently, like you don't. I mean, we're all nerds, but like it was really thought of like 20-25 years ago. This was deeply nerd stuff, and the mainstream sports side didn't really respect it. it would have a small corner of certain websites because it was good business, but people didn't, decision makers at media companies didn't really consider it, relevant sports content. But of course, some of the deepest analysis that happens, some of the things that you will see on network TV are very surfacey pieces on the biggest stars in the game. And you could never sell that to a fantasy audience, right? You have to talk about up and coming players. You have to talk about people who are down the depth chart. You have to talk about people who have sort of hidden skills that haven't necessarily materialized in box scores yet, but are huge talents. So like the quality of analysis that has always gone on in fantasy has for years, since the early days, been deeper, and I think if you're just a sports fan, more helpful than most mainstream sports analysis. And in the early days of the FSWA, we just wanted a way to highlight that, right? We wanted some way to recognize the best work that was happening within a space that was not considered sports media in the traditional sense. Now, one of the nice things about having been in the industry generally for this long is that I've lived and worked in that world when people considered it ridiculous. It's ridiculous, but now I live and work in this world where I don't think anybody considers you a hardcore fan unless you're playing fantasy, and not just one league, right? But like multiple leagues, because we've all now had the experience of learning a lot more about the game from having played fantasy, from reading fantasy content, and I don't know. You can think about people at every outlet, whether it's Harmon at Yahoo, it's Mike Clay at ESPN, it's Liz Loza, it's the guys at CBS are great. Like the whole industry, all the smaller independent platforms, the whole industry is full of people who like know the game at a pretty deep level and come at it from different perspectives. We've never had better and richer content in the industry. So the FSWA now tries to keep up with that in our awards process, right? And hopefully, I think we have enough awards categories to cover all of it. We're probably going to have to revisit those too, because there's such depth of content out there, and it's just always been a way to recognize the good content that is getting produced in the industry. Now, wow, would it make my life easy if these things were handpicked and rigged? I love the suggestion. I might take you up on it because I'm going to have less time on my hands this season. It would be great if we just rigged this thing. Great. But unfortunately, it's not. Unfortunately, it is yeah, our awards process is actually a blind judging process. We ask everybody to remove like references to their name, their site affiliations, and all that, so that it's, it'll be ESPN writers who are getting judged fairly alongside RotoWire, RotoBaller, smaller outlets. You can trust that everybody's getting reviewed in a blind process by a team of judges who, at this point, they've all been doing it. They've all been like our volunteer judges for over 10 years. So you're being read by people who have literally read more fantasy content than anyone alive. And so they're not, it's not like they don't know anything. It's not like they don't play. It's not like they haven't read fantasy content for a decade, and they're doing it in as fair and as blind a way as possible. In especially the football categories, to a lesser extent baseball, but especially in the football categories, man, we get so many nominations. So I always like to emphasize that just being a finalist for one of our awards in some of these categories is winning. It is exactly winning. Yeah, and it crushes me every year when I hear from somebody who was like a finalist who doesn't win. And he's like, oh, I appreciate the grind and people wanting to know what they can do to be better, but like that is. To be like one of 5 people recognized when hundreds of people are nominated. I hope people can step back and like just appreciate the value in that. But anyway, it's not rigged. I would love it if it was rigged. It would make my role so easy.
I love that because I've been hearing a lot about it, and I wanted to just talk about it a bit because I know how much work you guys put in. And like you said, even a nomination, it's a high honor.
Yeah, I can't stress enough that it's not a situation where we vote via like web poll. There's no, it's not like a poll of the members who are just like clicking a box to say what they. No, it's not any of that. It's a team of judges that like slog is probably the wrong verb, but they thoughtfully review all the submissions, and they have a judging rubric that they work off, and it is we have created the most thoughtful process that we can. That, do we miss some things? That the whole process is actually geared toward evaluating the quality of the writing, I would say, more than there are some things that are really important in fantasy analysis, like when did you say it is maybe the most important thing, right? We're not catching that at all. It's not, these are not the awards for like what content would have made you the most money, what would have won you a large, mega DFS contest. It's not like that. This is just like what is the quality of the analysis relative to the scoring rubric that we've created.
And I love something that you guys do, like you don't tell who won directly. Like you don't call them and tell them you won. You call the people that you have like 5 people, and you tell them stay on the line, and if we call you, you're gonna be the winner.
Yeah, I know it makes that a really nervous day for those folks.
I agree, but I do believe it's fun because they don't know who is picked yet, and then they hear the name and they are like, you contact them and say go.
I do like that we've created an award show for it. Not that it's not like the Oscars, it's not the Grammys, it's not anything like that. But we these things used to be given out, and we've had a good relationship with the FSGA over the years. But these used to be given out at one of the FSGA conferences, and the only problem with it is that there just weren't content people there, right? It was it would be the heads of content companies who would go up and accept awards without there's some public recognition for the writer, but not like on the radio, not on any sort of public platform, just within the room. And it became a thing where like the heads of these companies or like the sales guy would go up and accept an award. And that's not the same thing as being able to showcase the writer, be able to talk to the writer. So we've had this great partnership now for over 10 years with SiriusXM. They allow us to do an award show, and we can just bring in all these voices, and we can talk to people who are just finding out live that they've won this thing that they've been working like a dog for 6 months of producing fantasy content. It's like a nice little bit of gratification and acknowledgement at the end of the road. So that's great. And then we can also talk to them about their writing process and their experience at their employer, and what the editorial environment is like there. And it's just good. I don't know. I feel like there are always some good lessons in that show, and
I love that.
Somebody is always saying something pretty important and pretty helpful. I mean, I remember the conversations that we had just this last year with Andrew Cooper when he won. He was great. So some of these folks have like really, really sound advice for up and coming writers too.
I love it. What can you tell me about your a childhood memory? How did everything start? Like your love of sports and things.
It's funny. I was just having this conversation with an old friend of mine. I went to a relatively small school, and we had a class of 25 kids. And most of us just went to school from like kindergarten through 8th grade. So you get like a brother sister kind of relationship with those folks. And I had a wild class because we had you get 25 people together. You would not expect to have we had some just weirdly talented athletes in there. We had I had a classmate who was like a state tennis champ in high school, and another classmate who was the 3rd or 4th all-time leading rusher at Wheaton College, and another one was like a state champ in cross country, and another one played D1 soccer. And it was just like I was surrounded by athletes who were, and I was fine. I was a good little league player. I played the sports. I did the things. I was good growing up. I was an okay basketball player. I was fine. But from a very early age, I had exposure to people who were just like a different level, like somebody who's the all-time leading rusher in their collegiate program's history is just a different cat when you're playing tag at the age of like 8, right? So I feel like I had a good sense from a very early age that I'm not going to be able to. I'm not going to be a pro athlete. If I'm gonna work in sports, if I'm gonna be able to talk about sports for the rest of my life, I'm probably gonna have to write about it because I'm not like that guy.
Oh my God, that's really crazy. I mean, I've been an athlete my whole life, and I love writing as well. But coming from another country and have a different language, it's hard to write with English. So I'm self-taught, but I love it. So, do you have any like family members that they had the biggest influence in your career path?
Gosh, that's a really good question. Well, I would say my dad more than anyone really encouraged me to stick with sports
Yeah,
and didn't, like my mom was a guidance counselor, so my mom's job was to like funnel you into the most the profession that would pay the best that you could tolerate, right? Like
yeah,
that was and my mom certainly took my own interest to heart and all that. And my mom was perfectly happy to see me become a journalist. My dad was a high school basketball coach and had been like a minor league baseball player and a good athlete himself. And man, he was all in on the sports
cool.
career. So it did not seem, but in part because my dad was a coach, it didn't seem weird at all to work in sports. That seemed like a perfectly normal career path. And
Yeah,
it's not, and it's kind of inaccessible to a lot of people. I also happen to like come up as a writer at just the right moment in terms of the growth of the internet, because when I was in high school and college, like the internet wasn't fully a thing. There weren't really sports sites, and breaking into journalism was not a meritocracy so much as it was, you got to pay your dues. You got to, no, nobody just gets the back page of the Sun Times or the Tribune. You gotta work the news desk, and you gotta be a beat reporter. You gotta be a stringer. My first job out of college was
yeah.
I was a stringer for like a local paper on high school sports. And then all of a sudden the internet opened it up to anybody who had a voice and was able to like was willing, capable of regularly producing good content, and it was an easier thing to dive into and build an audience.
That's great. So, I'm gonna have like a tricky question here. What
All
hidden
of your questions have been tricky to this point, and finally you're like, oh, here's a tricky one. Okay.
what's a hidden talent
Oh
or your
no.
unusual skill most people don't know if you
Um, See, this is where you get people to tell ludicrous stories about themselves, and
have?
I'm really trying not to take the bait. I don't want to take the bait. Okay, I'm gonna take the bait.
Sorry,
Um,
Andy.
you, this is so stupid. This is like, do you want like really stupid, like really
I don't
stupid
mind
talent?
it.
There was I'm gonna date myself too. So Happy Days, when I was a kid, the
Yeah,
sitcom Happy
yeah,
Days, there was an episode where like somebody tried to get themselves into the Guinness Book of World Records
yes.
by they would flip coins off their elbow and they would catch them.
Please,
This is
that's
crazy,
crazy.
crazy that I even remember this. My friends and I became obsessed with trying to do that. I got really good at it. I don't I
I
don't
need
think
to
I'm
see
I don't think
it.
I'm I don't think I'm currently really good at it, but when I was a kid, I was very good at it. Like I was like 30 coins good at it. I was
Oh
I
my
was very
god,
good. What a stupid thing you have me talking about. That's like a superpower of yours.
I love it
This
though.
is two really stupid stories I've told about myself in two long conversations with you. For
Oh my god, I just love that though. So, how do you start each morning to set yourself up for focus?
I am a morning writer, so like I do my best work
Yeah,
in the morning. I've always this goes back to a job that I had coming out of college, where like if I wanted to get anything done that was like my own work, I had to get in really early in order to do it because the day would get away from me after that. So that got me. I developed a lot of good work habits through that, but one of them was a lot of discipline in the morning.
yeah,
So and then when I at some point I left that job and I threw myself into freelance writing. And before I was regularly working for different outlets, when I was just at the stage of a freelance career where you're just pitching people all the time and you're throwing a lot of pitches out there and just hoping that somebody gets back to you. Um, I got very disciplined about my the number that I wanted to hit every day is I wanted to write about 1,000 words a day that I edited and felt good about. Not like
yeah.
got 1,000 words down, but like this is 1,000 words that I would actually submit to an outlet. So, and I would generally do that in the morning. It was the whatever I was taking care of my daughter at the time, so it was an easy time for me to work. So, yeah, I tend to get up and go work wise.
That's awesome. If you had to choose a different career entirely, what would it
Are we assuming that I'm good at the thing?
be? Great at what you do right now, but like something that especially that's what happened with if you ask to choose something to totally from fantasy sports, what what did it for you?
Oh man, I can't emphasize enough that I have done the thing that I wanted to do. Um, I don't even know what I don't even know what the second choice would be. I mean, I was, I had a perfectly fine marketing job for a
Yeah.
little while, but like, I am a big believer that you do the thing you're passionate about for as long as you can find anybody to pay you to do it. And I can't. I mean, I honestly, I can't imagine having gone another route. I can't imagine not having gone down the fantasy path. I mean, I was playing it anyway, and I would be an avid fantasy player. But before I worked at Yahoo, the writing that I was doing for ESPN was not fantasy. I mean, I helped out a little bit on the fantasy side, but mostly what I was doing were I'd pitch them on different feature ideas.
Yeah.
I did a wild thing where I followed Journey, the band Journey, around
Yeah.
Wrigley Field when they were performing the seventh inning stretch. Like that was really fun. I was enjoying the work that I was doing for ESPN too. So, I mean, I I did the thing that I wanted to do. So
Yeah.
I don't even know what second place is. I can't give you that answer.
So I know that you're not with Yahoo, but what was your most
I had a lot of fun at Yahoo. Yeah, proudest was probably seeing that first thing on the page, right?
Yeah.
Like the first time I got published there and began to get good reaction to it. Um, some of my favorite things that I got to do there were, one nice thing at Yahoo for at least quite a while was that I was getting thrown into situations that made me pretty uncomfortable. Because all I ever wanted to do was write, Carla, which is not, people don't come into the industry like that anymore, and it's fine. But there's plenty of people in the fantasy space who did not come at it as either a journalist or somebody with a writing background. They have an analytical background. They love the game. They're head for numbers, all that, whatever. There's a lot of different ways that you can come at fantasy. But I came into it as a writer, and that's all I wanted to do. So pretty early on, Yahoo was like, "Sorry, that's not all we're paying you to do. You're gonna have to go on video. You're gonna have to, you're gonna have to do all this audio stuff." And every time they would throw something new on my plate and challenge me, and it rattles you a little bit, but then you get better at it and you come through it. That is really gratifying. Probably Super Bowl week in Minneapolis. That was the first time that I was doing like live player interviews where like left to my own devices, I would have stayed in the room and I would have written about the Super Bowl
Really?
instead of
Instead of
gone out and interviewed people. But they had me like doing a red carpet interview with like Migos and Jamie Foxx, and like I'm talking to Travis Kelsey on the red carpet. He's making fun of my shoes, and
Oh my
I'm
God.
I'm
I
I'm
love
giving
it.
it back to him, and like I don't know, that stuff was really fun, and I am not wired for it. So like and anytime you get thrown in a situation like that where you have to sink or swim and find your way through it is really helpful, really gratifying.
Oh,
Yeah. I also did there was like a one year in spring training, we helped Chris Bryant and Red Bull pull this like prank basically on a bunch of leagues that were drafting in Arizona, and that was like the gimmick was that Chris Bryant, dressed as a pizza delivery guy, would come into the draft with a pizza that Yahoo had set up for you or something like that. And they had a great makeup artist who put him in disguise, and he had a scraggly beard, and he, which other than being like crazy athletic and 6'6" and
yeah.
like a really fit human being, he did not look like Chris Bryant. So he'd come into the room with the pizza at the rough moment when he would be drafted, or when at the time it was Nolan Arenado was like the third baseman who was getting taken around the same spot as Chris Bryant. So like he'd come in the room with the pizza.
Yeah.
The people in the league would be like, "Oh yeah, put it over there, put it over there." It's freaking Chris Bryant, he's the MVP. And then like Nolan Arenado would get drafted, and Chris would start like smack talking the
Oh
pick.
my God.
It was great. It was a great event. It was really well set up by Red Bull, and like I was on hand because we played it as if these guys
Yeah.
were contest winners or something like that. It was really fun. So
That's amazing.
that was a good one too.
Yeah, that's really fun. I love that. So, what's the biggest misconception that fans have about business sports that you want to
Hmm.
change this perspective about?
I mean, I suppose there are, like, I know some of these guys, I guess. There are still people out there who I think don't recognize how helpful it is in terms of expanding your own knowledge base about a sport, right? Um, and it's not many people anymore. There aren't that many people who roll their eyes at fantasy necessarily. Unfortunately, a lot of the people who do are still in like decision making positions with major networks, right? They don't see it the way they ought to see it. But
Yep.
man, you really only have to play fantasy football or fantasy baseball one time, fantasy basketball, before you recognize how well it helps you learn the player database, right? Like you know more. Yeah, well, you're just a better informed fan for playing fantasy. More capable of speaking to the strengths and weaknesses of other teams and opponents and stuff like that. And I don't know, I still have a fair number of just sort of meathead Bears fan friends at home that don't necessarily play a lot of fantasy, but I think they get that like they have to ask me about other teams because they're not, they're just like laser focused on one team on their like local hometown team. It just improves your fandom. It just
I
improves
agree.
your depth of knowledge. And anybody who hasn't jumped in doesn't totally understand that.
Yeah, you cannot be like just one team. Like I have my Kansas City that I love a
Mm,
lot, and I never played fantasy football, but I know what you're talking about because you need to have that. You
yeah,
need to be
yeah,
able to pick your team from different perspectives because if you don't, then you just concentrate on one team. So
mm, mm.
you cannot manage that. So that's a good advice for everybody. So, what was the most challenging story or analysis you ever had?
Yeah. Almost any time you have to be objective about the teams you love in real life.
Yeah,
It's easy to get tripped up.
that's, yeah,
I don't I don't always think it is, but in hindsight, you can really overreact one way or another when it's like in your bones or grew up loving the team.
yeah.
I don't I don't know that I can fully step back from the Chicago Bears. I either hate them a little too much or I love them a little too much, and it is probably somewhat difficult for me to be objective about them. Also, I'm like the one my wife and I at University of Iowa, huge University of Iowa fan, and I tend to think the best of anybody who makes the NFL out of Iowa, for better or worse. And sometimes that works out, as in the case of Hamilton. Sometimes it doesn't work out.
It's home.
Yeah.
I love that. So, what motivates you to launch your own platform? Yeah. And what can you tell
Um,
us
I
about
got fired. No, I mean that's part of it,
I
obviously,
know,
right?
I know.
But
I
it is legitimately something that I had thought about for a
yeah,
while, and just the idea that I want to keep doing this. I don't
yeah,
want to. It's
sure.
not like I want to take a football season off. I love what I do, so just the desire to stay at it, desire to keep writing sports. It's just what I love, and being able to sort of pick and choose, sort the mail that pick and choose, write the things I want to write and miss the things I don't.
Yeah. So let's keep talking about your own like platform. What can you tell people about this
Yeah, thank you. It's called the Deep Shot, so it's going to be Dalton and I writing the things that we have really loved over the years, really enjoyed. Um, so gonna be doing that. It's again, it's probably not the the listy content that you might have become accustomed to
Yeah.
at I don't know, most mainstream platforms. We're gonna do some deeper dive stuff. We're gonna do some fun stuff. We're gonna use. I've already written a few things that never would have flown at Yahoo because of some of the hmm, 'cause some of the narrative choices that I'm making just would not have gone over. So it has been really fun. It's been very satisfying. Also going to be podcasting throughout the season with Chris Harris, who's a really good friend of mine.
I love that.
And he started a subscription podcast, premium podcast that we're doing every Wednesday. Uh, that's been really fun. His listeners, the Harris football community is they're different. They're really fun,
Yeah.
and they've been very kind over the years. I've been doing shows with them for a long time. It's one of my best friends in the industry,
That's
and so
amazing.
that's been really fun to do as well.
I mean, Eagles closes and a huge one.
Right, right.
And we rooted for you and all that because we love you. We love what you do for
Thank
the
you.
community. and we are like our eyes are open, and we want to know what's next for Andy
Thank
Behrens,
you.
for sure. So how do you approach building an independent brand from scratch?
Man, I was just talking to a couple people about this today. Like, it should be a breakout session at the expo,
Yeah,
because
I
it's,
agree.
conceptually, I was like, oh man, this is going to be great. I can just focus on the writing, and I can just focus on the things that I want to do,
Yeah,
and I can shuffle off all these things that I'll never have to write again. I won't have to worry about the crazy time crunches, and all this is good. And then, like, I had a conversation with a lawyer friend, I don't know, a couple weeks from launch, and he's like, oh, of course you've started an LLC, and you've probably looked into trademarking, and surely you've got the tax stuff figured out. And I was like, oh,
no,
you know,
not yet.
yeah. There's so many aspects to this that if you're just a writer and you come from my background, are just not on your they're just not on your radar at all. And I needed a checklist. I needed somebody to walk me through the checklist of, like, here's the things you're actually going to have to do that are unfun. And if you really want to do this thing and you want it to be successful, you are going to have to, like, your customer service when people have a problem with a subscription. You got to write terms and conditions. You got to write a privacy policy. You got to do a lot of really unfun things. But obviously, when you get that out of the way, it's done. But there are some steps you have to take that you don't necessarily think about.
Yeah. So if Bob Long approached you for next year and he asked you to have a platform for people that are starting their brand from scratch, are you willing to take that?
I'm willing to take it if the deep shot is successful. If the deep shot is not successful, I guess that would be even more helpful. I could tell everyone what didn't work. But
I'm
yeah,
sure
this has been quite a learning experience.
it is. I agree. I mean, we all learn from scratch, and we all have our venture to take.
Yeah.
And that's your year. That's your baby you're building.
Yep.
It's really awesome. I cannot wait to see how it's gonna go.
Thank you.
Absolutely. So, how do you measure like impact and success for the new venture? We're talking about it might work, it might not work, but how do you measure it?
Yeah, no, that's a great question. I can tell you that I don't know, if we have a couple hundred people that are reading, they're gonna have a great experience, because I'm gonna throw myself into it,
Yeah.
and I've really enjoyed, like, we have a really dumb Discord community going on with the Paris football folks and deep shot readers, and that has been really fun. Like, my favorite aspect of the job is interacting with people who also play the game and read the content.
Yeah.
I enjoy learning about football. I enjoy talking about football and having sort of barroom conversations with people. But it's really it's the people who push back on you and ask questions, and it's the people who challenge you, and it's the, shoot, I like the trolls. Like, I don't know, I've made friends with people that have started out as trolls, and I've just found really amusing, right? Like, I enjoy the interaction of it all.
Yeah.
So however many people follow us, they're going to get a lot of me this year, and I sort of can't wait to dive into the conversation with those guys.
I'm sure they're gonna. After like fantasy sports and stuff like that, I know that you write books. What inspired you to write novels for young people?
A paycheck. I was just describing this to somebody. It was years ago. It was probably like 2004, 2005.
Yeah.
I'm writing for ESPN, and if you're writing for ESPN at the time, I was writing for middle-aged men, basically, right? So I'm writing sports content for middle-aged men, and somebody reached out to me, and this is at a point in my career where I just said yes to everything. If it was paying,
Yeah.
I just said yes, right? Like, it's really early on. I'm trying to start my career. I'm not really curating opportunities at that point. I'm just, if you're coming at me with a checkbook, I'm probably going to do it. And somebody reached out, and I learned a lot about the sort of young adult novel publishing industry at the
Yeah.
time. It was a company that they're called book packagers, and they basically they got like a 1 or 2 page rough idea of a plot, and they hit you with it, and they're like, hey, do you want to write a couple sample chapters? And if you like it, maybe you can take a shot at writing this book, because they go find writers for their ideas. And I was like, sure, I've not written a book. I would love the challenge of writing a book. Wrote a couple of sample chapters for it. It became became something, again, like I thought it was weird because I was at the time writing for middle-aged men, and they're like, you should write for teenage girls. I was like, should I? But whatever, I did it. And it was really fun. And the first book became something called All the Way, which turned into the movie Sex Drive, which was a wild experience for me to be involved with. But I loved it. It was great. I I should have been canceled for Sex Drive. I should still be canceled for Sex Drive. It's crazy I haven't been canceled for Sex
You're
Drive.
not canceled. I do believe Wendy Early went and bought that she watched it.
Did you watch it? Oh my
I do
gosh.
believe she did.
I don't think I can look Wendy in the eye now. Oh God, I didn't know she watched it.
I do believe she did.
I really like Wendy, but I don't think I can look her directly in the face. Oh God, I'm sorry. I'm sorry, Wendy. Don't think less of me. You should. You should think less of me. Actually, what am I saying?
Well, it's not you. They made the like movie.
So,
Right?
but that was a
crazy.
but that was a good experience. And
It
I wrote a couple other books for them. I will say that was the one thing that was I really thought about when things went down with Yahoo. I gave serious thought to just writing a book because I have some ideas that I've been kicking around. I haven't really outlined them or anything like that. But one thing about my schedule at Yahoo is that it no longer allowed. I need, if I'm gonna write I'm not like a multitasker. I'm a unit tasker, right? I gotta do the thing that's in front of me. And if I'm gonna write a book, I need like 90 days. I need to I need to outline a thing. I need to go pretty hardcore into writing, to not be distracted by too many other things. And that's just, I know that is the only way that I know how to finish a book. I've done that a few times, and I'm confident I can do that. But I gotta block out like 3 months in order to do it. And this would have given me that opportunity, but you also, if you know that you want to write about the NFL going forward, you can't just take a season off. So, I'm in this now, but I was pretty tempted to jump back into fiction writing.
So, are we gonna find out soon that Andy Behrens wrote a new book? Are we gonna wait for that?
Maybe when we get to the end of the NFL season, I'll jump into something like that. I would like to do it again. I do have some unfinished ideas.
I would love to see that. What can you what piece of advice you would give aspiring children authors?
Oh, that's a really fun question. This is it's so different now than it was 20 years ago when I wrote those books, right? Like it's so easy to self-publish now, and there are actually, like, in the current, I don't know, obviously I'm a good example of why the media environment is challenging. It is challenging. I don't mean to say that, but there are fewer barriers than ever to just jumping in as a writer. There's no reason not to do it. The only, there's, you can self-publish. Like, that's never been easier. You can just figure out how to host a podcast. You can figure out how to start a website. Like, all of these things are available to you. So it's really just a willingness to kind of put yourself out in the world, which is really hard, right? But there are fewer barriers than there have really ever been. So you really just have to do the thing.
Yeah.
The other thing that is hard for a lot of people, and you have to get good at it, or you just can't do it professionally, is you gotta be willing to be edited. You got to be willing to take feedback, and it's not for everybody.
No, not everybody can appreciate the advice.
One of the first places when I was freelancing, one of the first places that I wrote for was a very old school publication in Chicago called the Chicago Reader, and it is the only truly formal editorial process I've ever been through. Like, I was writing like local sports features for them. I did a lot of fun stuff back in the day. I wrote like a really fun thing on Candace Parker when she was a sophomore or junior in high school. I wrote a bunch of stuff that was really fun for them, but they had multiple layers of fact checking. They had several sets of eyes that would read everything, go back and check it. Like, it was rigorous. But I remember they used to have this, maybe they still have it online, but they would have some online guidelines for people who were going to pitch them stories.
Yeah.
And one of the things they said was, we are definitely going to change your deathless prose. So if that bothers you, don't seek us out, right? Like,
But I love that, because nowadays I go to the news and I see that they're posting stuff. It's not edited. It's not well written, and it drives me crazy. Especially that I'm someone from like a different country, and English is my third language, to say the least. And I see those like small stuff that say, I'm like, really, you're media. You have to have someone
I,
that have eyes on what you're posting online.
I will say one of the most eye-opening things for me. I was writing for the Chicago Reader, which is like a free publication in the city that had a very rigorous editorial process. And I, if I'd wanted to slip in anything that was untrue, I could not have done it. It would have literally been impossible.
Yeah.
Too many people were reading before it got printed. And I went from that to like a few months later, I'm writing for ESPN. A couple years after that, I'm writing for Yahoo. The size of the audience for those features so much larger. It's there were things for ESPN, obviously things for Yahoo. They've got millions of eyeballs, literally millions of eyeballs. I, they'd get posted in seconds. I'd file it,
Yeah.
and that got huge audiences. And this thing I was, writing very, very locally for a very niche Chicago audience. They were putting me through the ringer, and that was the difference between. It probably still is the difference between print and a lot of online.
What's the funniest email or tweet you ever received from a
Um, some of the funniest stuff is probably there have only been a handful of times over the years that something has come to the attention of a player and the player has said something about it.
Yeah.
He's done this to other people. I know that Steve Smith did it to Benny Carter too, but Steve Smith lit me up one time with some like offhand joke I made about the Carolina Panthers hit a little too close to home, and he just absolutely lit me up over it. I don't remember exactly what he said, but I remember being like, "Oh shoot." I gotta remember how many people you can reach at Yahoo. Yeah, but it's probably stuff like that. And I've heard from people over the years that have just, I was talking to two people today. This is not exactly an answer to what you're asking, but Ken and Bob were their names, and they've been involved in a fantasy league that has been together for 43 years, and they have like 9 original members of it.
wow.
Bob brought up some of the original draft boards on his phone. He's got pictures of them. It was incredible to go through. So the people that have really stuck with me over the years are the folks that they were like day one Yahoo users.
Yeah.
Or they're people who had a fantasy league that have existed for 10 years, 15 years before there was such a thing as being online, right?
Yeah.
The people who have done this for a really long time, like you can tell the story of like families and friendships through the fantasy league, right? That is a lot of people, and interactions with those folks over the years. Seeing these two old friends who are stumbling through the fantasy football expo today together, just wanting to talk ball with anybody else who wanted to talk ball. Like those are the interactions that really stick with me.
I love that. If you had to pick a mascot for your personal brand, what would it be?
Oh my gosh, like a animal mascot, like a
Whatever,
college style.
whatever you want with your brand.
I don't know if
What
you
kind of?
I don't know if you realize this, but I think part of the reason the Harris football community likes me so much
Yeah.
is that I have many sites.
Really?
Yes, I know the good animals and
Care
the
to
bad
share?
animals. I do. Yeah, I have exported possums over the years. Geese.
Wow.
These
Oh,
are terrible. Um, Pandas. Talk about an overrated animal. Let's
oh,
talk about pandas. Everybody loves pandas. Yeah, big panda is their one evolutionary victory that they can make people feel sorry for them because they're so dopey and awkward, right? But I
that's
mean,
why we love them.
let me tell you, evolution had a plan for the panda, and we're keeping them around anyway.
Yes.
Because I get it, they're cute because they can't move through the world.
These are,
I
right?
know. They literally can't do anything that they attempt to do. And that there they are. So I'm really known for my animal takes in a
I
certain
love
niche of the fantasy community. So yeah, I think maybe it would be panda.
Panda. See? You're keeping it. So, which sports commentator would you challenge to a sushi eating
So one of my first jobs. It's not my very first job, but one of my first jobs was I have a good friend of mine, still one of my best friends, somebody I've known from that grade school that we were talking about earlier. his family ran a Japanese restaurant.
Yeah.
And but I don't know. I used to clean dishes for him sometimes. So something about cleaning dishes in a place makes you like not want to eat that stuff necessarily. No, it's a lovely restaurant too. I don't even mean to say that, but something about cleaning up the scraps makes you like. So I'm actually not a huge sushi eater. So I would have to pick out a sports. I'd have to pick out somebody who I'm pretty sure would not be eating much of it if I was going to win. Um,
So that's me.
yeah, but you, okay.
That's me. I love sushi.
Oh, do you really? Yeah, you would definitely beat me. I mean, I can do it. I like it. I get it. I've seen what it looks like. I've seen what it looks like at the end of the day. It's great.
I love that. What's the most embarrassing on camera moment you can laugh about?
Um, I, I can't say that there was ever like some terrible gaffe or anything like that. But Travis Kelsey making fun of my Doc Martens back in the day. It was pretty funny, but honestly, it was the very early days at Yahoo when I knew I wasn't good on camera, and by not good, it's not like the things that I was saying were poor, but like you have to get used to the idea that you can't just talk forever when they put a camera on you, right? You can't just say, and sometimes you're trying to prove yourself early in your career, right? You just want to impress people with all the things that you crammed into your head, but that's really bad content. You can't just spit facts. You gotta get good at curating. You gotta get good at saying to yourself, okay, what are the 2 or 3 things that are the best thing I could say right now, and I can hit that and get out of this, and it doesn't go on for 4 minutes. And I was terrible at it early. And one thing about Yahoo over the years, I will say, and I think everybody there would agree, there's not like a constructive feedback culture. They just let you do stuff.
Yeah.
And I needed somebody to step in and tell me, hey, you don't need to prattle on for 4 minutes. Just give us the best facts and get out of here. And so I rarely go back and listen to myself over. I rarely go back and like watch the things that I've produced. But man, when I have seen the film of me from early days at Yahoo, it's bad. I like somebody make that guy shut up. He won't shut up. Why won't he shut up? So that's actually part of the stuff that I'm doing it right now. I'm filibustering right now.
I mean, you have so much like an interesting stuff to talk about. And no, you're not doing it. You're sharing amazing stories that I love listening to. And I do believe our audience is amazed of what you went through.
That's really is one part of it. Doing like on stuff the first time, knowing how to be precise, knowing how to just put important stuff out there, how to
I hope I am.
You certainly are.
I hope I am. So, which karaoke song best represents your personality?
We're doing the thing where I end up revealing the thing about myself that nobody needs to know. Nobody needs to know anything. Nobody needed to ask that question. Nobody needs to know anything to it. It's something really dumb. I should say there are a lot of cool songs out there. I should just say a cool song and be done with this. But I don't know. It's karaoke.
Yeah.
The things that you would really, think is really good at karaoke are dumb songs that everybody will sing along to, right? I will tell you the story. Like the first.
Pink Pony, maybe.
No. I could no. I could actually sing a shocking amount of that song, but no, that would not be the song. The first concert I ever went to, I was having this conversation online. Bob Harris got drawn into it.
Yeah.
The first concert I ever wanted to go to was I wanted to go see the Who in the 1970s. My parents smartly wouldn't take me. I wanted to go see. I'm pretty sure it was called the Black and Blue Tour. It was Black Sabbath, Blue Oyster Cult, and I'm sure it would have been a terrible Chicago theater way back in the day. Great decision by my parents not to take me to what would have been a horrible environment.
Yeah.
So I had all these like big ideas. I'm gonna go see all these like classic rock shows. The first concert I actually did go to was my friend Nat's birthday party. He took us to a hall in answer. So I think I might actually carry it. I think I could. I think I could actually nail some of those songs.
Let's hear it.
Also, you just, the real key to karaoke is you just got to get the room. You got to find a song that the whole room will sing,
Yeah.
so that your own voice is drowned out.
I love it. Love it. So, who's your dream co-host for one-off comedy sports practice?
That's a good question. That's a really good question. I have really good rapport with my old Yahoo colleague Brad Evans.
Yeah.
And I'd love to do a show with class. He's really fun. We're both, we're not alike in some key ways as analysts, but we are alike in that you can endlessly make fun of it. Rolls right off, right? Like I don't, it's really fun. Let's do more of that. Brad took a lot of abuse at Yahoo, and it all rolls right off. Like what you like, and believe in the players you believe in, whatever. I don't know. Let's give each other. Let's talk smack at each other. So it might actually be Brad.
Nice. I love that. If you had to wear a one team jersey for one year, which would it be?
Well, it would have to be a sport with a flattering jersey, right? I'm not going to wear a basketball jersey, right? I'm guns out all year. That's not going to happen. I don't really have a hockey affiliation. Hockey comfortable for me.
Yeah.
So it would probably be, you know what? Probably a Jim McMahon or a Walter Payton Bears jersey. That is authentic to my own sports experience. I could talk endlessly with anybody who saw the jersey and wanted to have a conversation about the Bears. Like that would be fine. I was thinking about this the other day when we were at the Pro Football Hall of Fame. Now I go to the gift shop and I start seeing the jerseys and I want to buy all the jerseys. Got like a Earl Campbell jersey that I've seen a couple people around here. To buy it, but then I realized, oh, you never wear a jersey. Yeah, like I never put on a jersey, so that.
So why would I?
Yeah.
So let's like have some fun. Grab this question. Coffee or tea?
Coffee.
I know that you're an early bird, not a night owl.
Yeah.
Please, just
Temporarily, well, it turns out I'm a night owl.
Your all-time favorite draft pick?
Randy Moss, his rookie year. Took him really early. I feel like people jeered me in the draft for taking a rookie really early, and then he just detonated the whole league. Great.
Okay. Book you would recommend in one sentence?
Thoughtful about that. Actually, you know what? I'm gonna recommend something that I just read. It is a little slice of Midwestern and American history that I just did not know very well. It's called "Terror in the City of Champions," and it was about Detroit sports in the 1930s. And it has some political echoes for modern times too, right? It was really it's currently relevant, and it's just a slice of American sports that I didn't know. I'm gonna give you one more too because everybody should read it. It's super well done. I'm blanking on the name of the author. I wish I wasn't. There's a book called Boomtown about Oklahoma City and the Thunder, and it is like it weaves together. I'm sorry, you asked for a quick answer, and I'm definitely not giving you a quick answer.
I'm fine with that.
But it weaves together some wild regional history and the founding history of the Oklahoma City Thunder in really elegant and very well done. Anybody who likes reading sports nonfiction should read Boomtown. It is incredible.
That's awesome. Thank you for sharing that. Everybody's super appreciate it. So one thing you can't live without undrafted.
One thing. Okay, that's interesting. The correct answer: you're looking for a player, or you're looking for an object?
It's up to you.
Something that has to surround me. I don't like drafting a team without a beverage handy. I don't, I will say since leaving Yahoo, since Yahoo left me, one thing that I was never allowed to do when I was there was play in like a paid fantasy contest at other platforms. So I just had no experience on Underdog because it was there's some data behind the scenes at Yahoo that I could technically have access to that technically could help me at another platform, so they asked us not to play, and I was an obedient employee, and I never played. I'm underdog now though. I'm on there. I'm playing games there all the time. So that's become like a morning. It's not even helpful. Like I like to write in the morning, and now I'm playing. Now I'm getting all these stupid drafts in the morning, eating up a lot of time, eating up my financial resources file. But I've really enjoyed it. It's been great. So that's I'm either like morning coffee, doing a draft on Underdog, or I need to have an adult beverage and drafting by evening. I would never draft in the afternoon. That's for psychos. That's for sociopaths.
What's your favorite sports podcast other than
Um, that's vicious, and obviously other than this one, I assume too.
I think this is not sports. Getting to know the guests more behind the sports itself.
I'm going to go way far afield. I'm a huge track and field fan, which is not like. Who's your like 100, 200?
Yeah.
100, 200, they'd throw you in a 400 if they needed. Yeah. Cool. I love track and field. So all of the podcasts that I listen to faithfully are like Cities Mag podcast. I listen to Let's Run podcast. They're all track and field shows. It's bad, but like I don't have bandwidth to listen to like fantasy football podcasts during the season, so I don't know what's going on out there in other fantasy football podcasts until I like guest on them. So I don't really have a lot of exposure to that. I'm swimming in the NFL all the time, so I'm not listening to a lot of NFL podcasts. But when I like just go for a run, to a pod, it's generally correct. So.
One emoji that sums up your mood today.
Just today.
Yeah.
It's probably the onion plastic face. Probably that one.
What's your favorite?
I was trying to hide from Bob Lung all day. Trying to disguise myself so I wouldn't get on any more panels.
Oh my God.
I'm talked out, man.
What's the best piece of advice you
Yeah, that's a good question too, and it's probably just some version of whatever. It's a cliche, but it's some version of love and work day, right? I feel like grandparents were farmers, and grandparents on the other side had jobs. Loved being farmers. They seem to love being farmers, but it was work. I'm fortunate enough to have been able to throw myself just into a role, into a profession that I would just do anyway, right? Like I'd be thinking about sports all the time. I'd be playing fantasy sports, like the sort of rough contours of what I do professionally. It's stuff I would do for free. So you can scam your way and get paid for that. That's pretty great.
that way? What's one word before we finish that your friend would use?
Probably obnoxious. Probably it's probably they've used multiple words, and some of them would not be suitable for this podcast. But it's probably some version of obnoxious. Yeah, like anybody who is a friend of mine has to endure a lot of smack talk.
Yes.
Yeah.
So you know the drill. Even though that you shared a lot of stories behind closed doors that you never shared before, I'm gonna keep asking that question. Is there anything else you would like to share tonight?
Have I not shared enough?
Game changer.
Have I not shared enough with you? Are you trying to wring one more drop of personal information from me?
Maybe something. Maybe
I didn't intend to share half the things I did, and now you're asking for one more thing. That's cool.
I mean, if you want to, maybe something hidden for the future that you're planning to do,
No,
or
listen,
something that you would like to.
I genuinely just
I'm being nice.
I appreciate how kind you've been over the last couple of months. It's been a weird time. Everybody sort of checked in.
Yeah.
Not that I will also say I didn't But people say things like, "Oh, I need to land on your feet," stuff like. I was never off my feet.
You were not.
I'm. This was not a whatever. Like I'm fine. I'm not.
Yeah.
I'm not in a spot where I couldn't possibly afford to lose this job.
Yeah.
I'm very fortunate. I'm fine. But you really do appreciate it. Like,
Yeah.
check in periodically. Depending on it. That this show has been great and a great addition. So just a big thank you.
That's such an honor. I really appreciate it. Andy, before we finish, we're done with the this episode. Do you want to share when people can connect with you, and maybe if you want to share the new like projects that
Yeah.
they can like follow you on.
Sure. Yeah. Again, they can find us on the Beach Jot as being Del Gun. It's just all of our favorite content, all the stuff we really enjoy doing. Chelsea Beyond. Find me on Twitter.
Definitely. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
So thank you guys for joining me for this episode of the Game Changers. I hope today's conversation gave you a fresh perspective, not just on fantasy football, but on the game of life. Mark your calendar for Wednesday. This show, aka Big Draft Energy, returns as our featured guest next Wednesday. Did you meet up with this girl? He is like this big teddy bear that everyone wants to hug. It's crazy. So I'm so excited to talk to him on Wednesday. So tune in, you guys. So big thank you for JC. He is not behind the scene right now. He's sitting here, just saying and laughing.
JC's everywhere this weekend. Like
He
every
is.
room I walk
He
into, he is doing something critically important, or he's just
Yes.
lurking, or whatever JC does. But he's everywhere.
He is the heart of the TSA team, literally. Like everybody is amazing, but he's there. He's always, looking up for everybody, and
Yeah.
I cannot appreciate you more.
Like
So
shout
thank
out
you.
to JC. He's
Shout out
really
to
supportive
him.
of a lot of
Yes,
people.
yes.
JC has been like you two both have been great citizens of the fantasy community.
I appreciate it. Thank you. Yes. So if you enjoyed today's episode, be sure to subscribe, leave a review, and follow us on social media. Stay connected and be part of the Sports Affiliation, a community where every fan, thinker, and change maker belong. Until next time, keep challenging the game and making your mark. This is Carla with Andy Behrens signing off. I wish you all a pleasant day. Take care.